Obviously, we have 7, 8 candidates here today. There's many to hear from. Are there any that you're specifically interested in hearing from?
And a surprise candidate is coming in right now, Ryan Brinkley. He just announced he's out of Texas. And I mean, I shouldn't say that he probably has no chance, but he's a great guy. But so who I'm probably leaning towards, and he's not here, would be Trump and then DeSantis. Maybe a Trump-DeSantis ticket. And it could happen, I guess. Probably unlikely, but anyway.
Obviously, Trump is not here, but there is Pence here. Does he interest you at all?
He's a great guy. In fact, I invited him to be the speaker at next year's prayer breakfast. So I don't know if he will or not, but because he's a great, strong Christian guy. But I'm probably not interested in voting for him at this point unless things change. I mean, I would vote for anybody but a Democrat. So
Disco Dave, what are you excited for today? What are you excited to see?
Oh, it's just great to be here. And it's great to be here with all my fellow Americans and Midwesterners. I was born in Iowa. I live in St. Louis now. I came up for this event. And it's just great to be here.
Is there anybody? Yes, it's a gorgeous day, and it's going to get really warm here soon. Is there anybody you're really excited to hear from?
I really like Nikki Haley. I think she's got all the she checks all the right boxes. I think she's great, and I do like Mike Pence. We were talking to Mike a little earlier, and we'll see. But same thing. I mean, I'm going to vote for whoever gets nominated.
DeSantis is here too.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's a late invite, and he's going to be here.
Is he going to ride?
No, I don't think so.
Are there any specific issues that you want to hear about from these candidates?
I'd like to know how we're going to clean up the situation in Ukraine and what the end game is. How are we going to settle this thing? What's peace mean, and where are we going with all the money that we're spending there? It just seems to be an unending checkbook that we're writing to the people in Ukraine, and it's a great cause, but how are we going to end it, and how are we going to settle things and still be at peace with Russia and China?
But Nikki Haley is a former ambassador of the UN. I mean, she would have some of the credentials needed to approach this. Is that maybe one of your appealing points about her?
Yeah, I think she's great. She's UN contacts, and she knows all the world leaders, and she's a diplomat. I mean, she knows how to talk to people, and she knows how to handle a situation and negotiate, all those things that we're not doing right now, with whether it's with members of Congress or other politicians. And that's what we need. We got to get this thing together. We can't keep fighting internally and expect to be successful externally.
So obviously we have a lot of candidates here today, and you've got a signature from Pence on your head. What else are you looking for today? Who are you looking at today?
Everybody.
Is there somebody in particular that may be a front runner?
Well, you got to go with DeSantis because he's got more money. He's young. He's got some new ideas. I was a Trump fan for a long time, but he's got to quit focusing in the past. He has to change his tune and go with what his accomplishments were and what he's going to do in the future, because you can't focus on 2020. It's like trying to put manure back in the horse or toothpaste back in the tube. It doesn't work. So you have to focus on what's new, what you can do in the future, and how he hasn't really changed his tone. And half the people that voted for Biden in 2020 didn't like Biden. They just like Trump less. And he hasn't really changed anything, his attitude and his tone, to lure the independents, which what you're going to need, because you got 40% of the Republicans are going to vote for Daffy Duck if he was, you got another 40% is going to vote for Biden or a Democrat, regardless. So you got that 20% that everybody's trying to focus, and the ones that get the majority of that are going to win the election.
Now,
they get out and vote.
Yeah, and so we have obviously a unique campaign election season right now, because obviously Biden's running again as an incumbent. Trump is running as an incumbent in somewhat form. And so what do you think the GOP needs to do to, appeal to those moderate voters that you're talking about?
Well, you have to have somebody like Pence or DeSantis to give people an alternative for Biden or Trump. Give them some new ideas, give them some. The other, Biden and Trump have both got so many negatives right now. And you need to have somebody that's got positive and some new ideas and younger ideas, because they should have put in the Constitution that A, term limits, and B, age limits. Nobody over 75 should be in Congress because, they're old. There's 18 senators that's over 80 years old.
Well, even our own Senator Chuck Grassley is.
old as dirt.
I am here today with Bloodhound, who went on your ride around town here, but you came 3 hours this way just to do the ride, right?
Right.
And you said that today there are a lot of candidates here, but you have met Mike Pence a couple of times, and he even gave you a gift today. Is that right?
Right. Yep. He gave me a gift for my grandson because he's a Marine, and so is his son a Marine. So.
And so you had.
Yeah, it's my grandson.
Yes, you had told him about your grandson, and then he saw you today and called you by name and said, "Hey, I got something for you," right?
Right. Yeah.
And what did he give you?
He reached out to shake my hand, and that was in his hand. And I felt that, and he said, "Give this to your grandson."
So we're looking down the barrel of 2024. Does that put him maybe ahead of some of the other candidates in your mind?
It puts him ahead of some of them. I've always been a Trump fan, but I like to come and talk and listen to these people and see what else is offered in case we need a backup plan.
Yeah, we've got a lot of candidates here, almost 7 or 8, and I can't remember off the top of my head because it's changed so many times, but we've got DeSantis here, we've got Pence, Mike,
in Council Bluffs.
And what are your thoughts? Who's kind of the forefront, if not Trump?
It's kind of a toss-up right now with me with Mike Pence and Ron DeSantis.
What specifically brings those people to
mind?
mind?
Would make good vice presidents right now with Trump. Is kind of how I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
If Trump can't run or something happens, then they'd be next in my mind of being a president.
What are the issues that they have talked about that really concern you?
Well, we talked about the open border, how to remove millions of illegals out of this country somehow, and then also the Veterans Administration and stuff like that.
And so as we're going into today, you got a full plate of food, you're ready to go sit down and listen to these speeches. Is there anything that you think these candidates have to have in mind as they approach Iowa?
Well, I think they have to think about the kids in the schools, the profanity in the books to start with. Got to start from the little ones up. I'm getting ready to have our 20th grandbaby next month. So that's what I worry about is the grandchildren. And so we never had that stuff in our school when I was a kid. We didn't have books with profanity in them and sex changes and things. Let these kids grow up and be kids.
I'm here with Scott today at the Roast and Ride event, and he says he's here for the veteran fundraiser, but he's going to stay for the speeches. Who are you most excited to hear from?
Joni. She's the most. And Scott, I like him too. I've met Mike Pence on another ride we were on about 3 years ago. He came in and rode with us. He rode like the last 15 miles into Boone on the ride about 3 years ago. So it'd be nice to meet him too. I just wish Trump was here.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We have a lot of candidates here. Trump is the only one missing, but we do have Pence, like you said, Tim Scott. What about Tim Scott interests you?
I just think he's an upfront guy. I think he stands for America, and I really think he's just upfront. I don't think he cares what color skin is or anything else. I just think he's an upfront person.
And like you said, Trump is not here. He had some events earlier this week. But is there a reason that he's still a candidate in the front of your mind?
Oh, I think he does the right thing. He just goes about it a little bit off the wall, but I really think he's an American, stands for America. Yeah.
And obviously Pence is here. Pence is obviously his former running mate. Is there anything, you said you rode with him a couple of years ago, is there anything about his policies or what he has recently talked about that has maybe piqued your interest?
The only thing I really worry about him is I'm afraid he'll lean a little over on the liberal side, just a little, which maybe that'll be okay because it might mean we might get something done instead of just standstill politics.